Hey guys, welcome back. What I want to talk about today is 7 keys to positive communication. You know, we've talked a lot about communication in general, and we've talked about dealing with conflict, what pisses people off. We've talked about handling a conflict situation. Let's talk about avoiding a conflict situation from the beginning. Keys to positive communication. And I'll tell you right now, these are straightforward. These are common sense. There's not a lot to them. But at the same time, you'd be surprised how many people simply don't follow these things. Number 1, be likable. That's reasonable, isn't it? It's hard to be mean to someone that's always friendly. That's actually a term that I coined myself one day. And what happened is years ago, I started dating this little short blonde-headed girl. Her name was Jeanette. Now, many of y'all know who Jeanette is. I talk about her a lot. At any rate, Jeanette was 18 years old, and I was going down her house, was picking her up in the car, and we were going out riding around doing things. And anyhow, when I went down there, I found that her father was often rude to me. And I never understood why he was like that. I would come in, hey sir, how are you doing? Nice, good to see you. He'd shake my hand, he'd say something smart. And I always laugh, I said, that's a good one, sir, you got me on that one. And anyhow, I would always take it and smile, and we would leave. And we were riding up the road one day, and Jeanette said, Brent, I want to thank you for how you handle my father. Said, you're always so positive and so friendly. Said, but I've got to admit, I'm surprised. To be realistic, I was a typical teenager. I was, smart ass, and I said things I shouldn't have said and did things I shouldn't have done. But I never did with him. I always played it really, really cool. And she said, why do you always do that? And I told her, I said, Jeanette, it's hard to be mean to someone that's always friendly. Now, what I was really telling her was, I like you, and I'm thinking I might be around for a while, and it'll be better if I'm friendly with your father than if I'm not friendly with your father. I thought, he'll come around, just give him some time. Well, Jeanette and I dated for a number of years. We eventually married. We have a child together. Jeanette and I, that was in 1980 when we first hooked up. And here we are, 36 years later. And her father still treats me the same. But the door is open, the option. I'm joking. Her father does not treat me the same. Actually, her father treats me very well. And it didn't take him long to come around. Within a few months, he began to more jovial joking. He always wanted to be in control. He was her dad, and he wanted me to know that that was his little girl, and he was in control. And that was okay. That's true. I have a little girl now, and I like her boyfriend, but he understands I'm the one in control. But Lewis and I got along good throughout the marriage. We never had a problem. Of course, you all know Jeanette and I are divorced now. Jeanette and I have remained friends, and lo and behold, Lewis and I have remained friends too. There were lots of times throughout our marriage that I actually asked him for advice on things. I went to him because I thought he was well suited to give me advice on handling a situation. I look back on it and I think, now that was a friendship. That was a situation that I could have messed up very easily. We have the same thing with supervisors, with colleagues, with people that work for us. Maybe they're not the personality we like, but always give them a break. Always be friendly, always be likable, because you never can tell what kind of friendship might eventually come from that. Give status to their resistance. Now, resistance is something that a person has that makes them different, or maybe angers them a little bit. When I say give status to the resistance, basically what I'm saying is MFI. Anyone know what that acronym stands for? Now, those of you that were in the Marine Corps are snickering right now. That is not the acronym that I'm talking about. Those of you that don't know, maybe you can Google that and figure it out, because I can't say it on a video. The one I'm looking for is make me feel important. Sometimes one of the best things you can do when dealing with an individual is to keep your mouth shut. Simply shut up and let them do the talking. Particularly if it's someone you supervise. They feel good about that. They say, hey, my opinion matters. My supervisor listens to what I have to say. Keep your mouth shut and let them talk. Now, I'm not saying I have to stand here forever and take a beating on something, but you've got something on your mind, I want to hear what it is. Tell me. This is your time. Let me know. Make me feel important. Don't aggravate a situation. I call this funning. You find something that bothers someone. You say, hey, I think I'll fun with them. I'll kind of pick at them a little bit. Maybe you're a big UK fan and UK lost a basketball game last night. You know people that, if you are fans, that want to pick at those individuals. Say, oh, your team lost. Ha, ha, ha. UK's no good. Or maybe it's a Louisville fan and Louisville lost and you want to pick at them, or Indiana or something. You think, hey, I'm just having fun. Well, I don't know if that's fun or not. Sometimes we find things that bother a person and we want to aggravate them. And sometimes we very easily go too far for one reason or another. Now, I personally believe that this is the cause of much marital strife. I think that when couples first get married, both of them maybe want to be a little bit dominant. And what happens is one finds something that bothers the other one, and they bring it up and they pick at them. And it may be something personal, it may be something public, I don't know, but they pick at them. And they say, hey, I was just joking around, just having a little fun. Well, stuff like that's not fun, especially when you're hearing a lot of it. So, you find something that you know bothers someone else, avoid that topic. Don't bring it up all the time. That might be fun to you, but it's not to them. And you can't tell where this is going to go afterwards. Before I even show you the next one, I'm going to tell you a story about the next one. I'm an avid college basketball fan. I love college basketball. Now, I'm a Kentucky alumni. Kentucky has pretty good basketball teams. I also went to Purdue. I was at Purdue during the heyday of Purdue basketball. Matter of fact, it's one of the things my wife and I had in common. Jeanette went to the University of Louisville when they were winning national championships. And then she went to Florida State during the heyday of Florida State University. And that was one of the things that we did so much when we were younger, is we traveled around and went to games. We went to the NCAA tournament every year. Not necessarily the Final Four, but the regional games. Regional games are better anyway, and you can get tickets for them easily before the teams are announced who's going to play there. So at any rate, we would go to games, big Western fan, went to a lot of Western games. My brother-in-law used to be the head coach at Mississippi State University. And where do you think he's the head coach now? Western Kentucky University. Rick Stansbury is my brother-in-law. So at any rate, big college basketball fan. In 1986, I'm a student at Purdue University. I'm in a bar called Harry's Chocolate Shop, and I'm watching the NCAA tournament. And the teams that are playing are Kansas and Michigan State in the regionals for a right to go to the Final Four. Now, I'm at Purdue University. That's a Big Ten university. So, man, I'm cheering for Michigan State. Go State! And this bar is full of people. And we're all cheering for Michigan State. Except for these three guys at the bar. And we were all college students. These guys weren't. They were, mid-30s. A little bit bigger than everyone else. A little bit roughness about them. At any rate, they were cheering for Kansas. Well, that's fine. Nobody said anything to them, give them a hard time whatsoever. See, now we're cheering. Go State. Tight game. Matter of fact, very controversial game at the end. But somewhere along the lines, the table sitting beside me had a young blonde-headed lady at it. She was from England. Her voice sounded different. She was cheering for State. Well, one of the Kansas guys, the big guys up at the front there, picked her voice out and turned around and made some rude comments to her. And it was totally uncalled for, it really was. I can't even repeat them on film. So at any rate, she was with a guy. He feels the need to defend her honor. And he said, hey man, that's out of line. We don't need that. I didn't think he was out of line saying that. Well, the biggest, dumbest one of these guys at the bar, he lumbers over there and said, what'd you say to me? So anyhow, the guy gets up and says, hey, and he's real cool. He says, hey man, said, you don't need to be saying that to my girlfriend. Said, we're just like y'all. We're just in here cheering for the game. Nobody's giving you a hard time. So this guy, he gets to mouthing him pretty hard. Well, now people are starting to watch. Anyhow, they're right beside me, as a matter of fact. I mean, they're just like right here. I'm sitting here at this table and I'm kind of watching. And anyhow, they have words for a while there. And I'm thinking, somebody say something. You know, more people are focusing in. And the guy, little guy, he finally backs off. The guy that was with the girl wasn't a real big guy. And he says, just forget it. And he said, come on, honey, let's go. And anyhow, he takes her by the hand. And about the time he starts for the door, the big guy gets between him and the door. He says, where do you think you're going? I'm not through with you. The guy says, you need to leave me alone. I'm serious. We want to leave. He said, you'll leave when I tell you you can leave, no sooner. Now, obviously, we're dealing with a complete, total asshole. It's a technical name, I believe. So, anyhow, the guy walks back over to the table, and I'm thinking, safety in numbers. He's with 3 or 4 people. They'll step up. Of course, he's got a couple of big guys up there at the bar watching all of this. Anyhow, he walks back to the table, and no one says a word. And the little guy steps up there, and he picks his beer up, and he says, sir, I want you to leave us alone. He said, I'm sorry she offended you. We won't do it again. Hell, I'll cheer for Kansas the rest of the game. He even kind of winked at him there. He went to take a drink of his beer, and the guy caught his hand, and I remember vividly him saying, it ain't that simple. Would anyone care to finish the story? I don't know if the little guy knew karate or judo or was just wicked fast or what happened. He hit that guy so fast and hard with that beer mug it would like grease lightning. And I mean, pow, right in the head with it. And that guy hit the ground like a sack of potatoes. And when he hit, blood, you could just see it spattering out. And he broke the mug when he hit him. He hit him so hard with it. Glass, beer, whatever. I got some beer on me, but I kept my mouth shut at this point in time. I thought I hadn't opened it yet. Just go ahead and keep it shut for now. And anyhow, that guy hit the ground. And when he hit the ground, I thought to myself, a valuable lesson has been learned here. Don't force someone on the defensive. If you corner someone, if you force them on the defensive, you don't know what they might do. The old big guy, he was a big tough guy. He thought he had everyone looking up to him, and he intimidated everybody there for a while. But he didn't look too intimidating when he was laying on the floor bleeding. That guy popped him upside the head, and when he hit him, he kind of got down like if he got back up, he was going to lay into him again. He was still holding that broken beer mug. He'd have cut him to ribbons. He kind of got down there and he looked at them other two at the bar, and there wasn't anybody moving a muscle. He sized the situation up. He said, honey, are you ready to go? He took her hand. He tossed that broken mug down on the ground there by that guy and walked out the door. And only then did those other 2 guys come over and pick that guy up off the floor. And I mean, he was gashed. He picked him up off the floor and he was like this. One of them said, by God, I feel sorry for that guy. And I like to burst out laughing. And as soon as they got out of earshot, I turned around and I said, I don't. I said, I feel sorry for him. Got his whooped right here in front of everybody. And now he's on the way to the hospital to get stitched up. And you know, there were people said, I bet we never see that guy in here again. And they were talking about the smaller guy. I went in there the next night specifically curious. He came in the next night. He wasn't with the girl, and he was with 3 or 4 guys. And it was like he was looking around to see if that guy was in there or his buddies and had anything to say about it. And I never saw those 3 guys in there again. You force someone on the defensive, you don't know what might happen. A valuable lesson. Don't find fault with individuals. We're not saying, hey, this is your fault this has happened. We're saying, hey, we've got a problem. How can we keep this from happening again? You help me understand. Ask other people. Don't hesitate to ask other people to help you. Lose to win. Now, it used to be I didn't say a lot with this. I'd say lose to win. You can't win every battle. However, I came across something one day I thought was so fascinating, I want to share it with you. What's the roughest, toughest, meanest, nastiest animal in North America? Do y'all have any idea? Usually I've got students out here and they're saying, a wolverine, a badger. I had this real cute little blonde-headed girl sitting in the front row one time. She said, a tiger? It's like the whole class got quiet and we looked for a minute and burst out laughing. Oh, I missed that. Anyhow, the correct answer is a bear, a grizzly bear. A grizzly bear is huge. Do you realize how big those things get? I was in Alaska one time. I took my picture beside one that was stuffed. And I got to tell you, I was really kind of bothered that someone killed and stuffed this grizzly bear. They said that they'll get up to 1,400 pounds before they go into hibernation. This grizzly bear was up on his hind legs like this and stood over 9 feet tall. It was like 9 feet 8 inches. You don't realize how big that is till you're beside it. His paws were out like this. I mean, his paws were bigger than my head. The claws, they must have been that long and looked like a razor. I mean, if you got hit with one, you're finished. Coincidentally, right beside this grizzly bear, they had a polar bear. Polar bears are actually taller. They said a polar bear could exceed 11 feet standing up on its hind legs, and I had one like this, but they're a whole lot slimmer. While the grizzly bear could get up to 1,400 pounds, the polar bear was more likely, it's like 1,100 pounds or something. So certainly a formidable animal, but not the grizzly bear. At any rate, grizzly bear, roughest and toughest animal of all. And if a grizzly bear makes a kill, they will eat till they're full, and if they don't eat all of it, they'll back off and they'll guard the kill until they're ready to eat again. And any animal that comes into imaginary perimeter, they will attack. Except one. There's one animal that the grizzly bear will not attack. Can you all tell me what animal that is? What is it, Katie?
I don't know, but I do know, aren't hippopotamuses more dangerous than grizzly bears?
A hippopotamus.
Is it really a hippopotamus?
No.
Oh.
There are no hippopotamuses where there are grizzly bears. Unless it's the zoo.
Well, at the zoo, hippopotamuses will dominate.
Good guess. They swim so neat too. A skunk. Now, can a grizzly bear whip a skunk? Yeah, they can. Is it worth it?
No.
It's not. Sometimes you have to size up the fight that you're in. Is it really worth my energy? If I win, so what? Sometimes let the other person have it. Let them feel good about themselves. It's not that big a deal. Next one, patience. Patience is the virtue of saints, but all too often it's unseen today. Katie, would you come up and help me with this one? I'm going to dim this. This is called the dinner date. And what we're going to pretend is that Katie and I have gone out on a date. And I've got a script here. And you're going to say your part. I'm going to read mine, okay? So we're out of date. I took you to 440 Main. I took you to a classy place. So we're at 440 Main and we're sitting and we're pretending we're a married couple. Old grizzled married couple here. Well, just me. So read your first line, Katie, and I'll respond.
What would you do if I died? Would you get remarried again?
Definitely not.
Why not? Don't you like being married?
On second thought, I think I probably would get married again.
You would?
Oh, no.
Would you sleep in our bed?
Well, that would seem fitting, wouldn't it?
Would you take her to our special restaurant?
Well, I suppose I would.
Would you let her use my golf clubs?
She can't. She's left-handed.
What?
Sometimes when it comes to communication, when it comes to being patient, we're talking about the patience to let the other person finish speaking before we open our mouth and say something stupid. Now, How likely am I going to be able to take this back and get out of this situation, Katie?
No, you're screwed.
I'll say,
I'm filing for divorce.
I've got a problem now. I'm going to have to buy our house
I'd like a Jeep, please.
in a Jeep. So, at any rate, thank you, Katie. At any rate, those are my 7 suggestions for making sure that your communication goes smooth and in a positive manner. And with that, I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you later, guys.